Well, thanks everybody for being here. I'm Richard Barrera. I'm the Vice President of the San Diego Unified School Board. And tomorrow night, President Petterson and I will introduce a resolution to be voted on by our colleagues on the board in support of Prop 50. As everybody knows, Prop 50 is the ballot measure November 4th. Well, Californians will get a chance to vote on redistricting for congressional seats that would then apply to the 2026 elections. Look, it's very clear why we as a group of educators are here today in support of this initiative. What we have seen since January from the Trump administration has been a relentless assault on our students, our families, our educators, and our schools. And we have seen a Congress that is more interested in pacifying Donald Trump than in standing up for our local communities and our local schools, and enough is enough. We have seen tactics of armed federal agents, masked federal agents, literally pulling our parents out of their cars as they're there to drop off students or pick students up from school. That is an intentional effort to intimidate our families, and it has direct impact not only on our families who are separated from their children, but on every family, on every student in a school where that happens. We've seen the federal government, the Trump administration, withhold funding that has already been appropriated by Congress, funding for before and after school and summer programming, funding for teacher training, funding for support of English learners, a variety of different types of funds that the Congress actually decided was good for kids and students in schools. And then when the Trump administration just said on a whim, we don't feel like releasing that money to schools, we heard nothing from the leadership in this Congress, including from members of Congress in California. And now we see a budget being put forward which points to devastating, unprecedented cuts to Title I programs that support students in poverty, to those very same programs for childhood nutrition, summer school, after school, teacher training, support for English learners. And we've seen a decision by this Congress to go along with the Trump administration to spend 4 times the amount that they are currently spending on special education to do private school vouchers for families who can already afford private school. So rather than meeting their obligation to fully fund special education, they've decided to spend 4 times that amount on private school vouchers rather than to support schools and to support our students with disabilities. We've seen this Congress actually spend 10 times the amount that they do on special education to hire more immigration agents to meet their quotas that are based in racism and intimidation. So rather than invest the money in schools, in our students with disabilities, in our after-school programs that support working families, and all of the types of programs and services that support our students, we see this Congress just blindly go along with whatever Donald Trump wants to do and not stand up to him. We will stand up to him in California. Our educators, our families, our school board members up and down this state, educators in California are saying enough is enough. And if we don't have a Congress that's willing to stand up to this president, we'll do it in California. And we'll make sure that next year a new Congress is elected that cares more about schools and students and families than they do about the intimidation tactics of Donald Trump. I want to now introduce the president of our school board, Cody Petterson.
All right. Thank you, Richard, for opening us up this morning. Good morning. I am Cody Petterson, Board President, Standing Unified. We're here today to affirm that in order to protect our children and their futures, we're going to have to make hard decisions, hard compromises with regard to principles we hold dear. Our schools are facing a manufactured crisis, not because of a lack of will or vision, but because of deliberate, destructive federal policies. And as we watch red states across the country reinforce and intensify their long-standing practice of gerrymandering, it is past time that we acknowledge the need to protect our families from the lawlessness of this administration and its hostility to public education, and cease to unilaterally disarm ourselves electorally. I followed the 2020 County Redistricting Commission closely, spent countless hours studying the proposed maps, listening to testimony, following the extensive good faith deliberation of the commissioners. Our independent redistricting process is a beautiful, labor-intensive work of transparency, dignity, fairness, and love for our community, which makes it all the more agonizing that we are forced to this remedy. Our principles are not a suicide pact. The outcome of our strict adherence to our principles cannot possibly be that our principles are trampled. Our commitment to procedural justice cannot be so absolute that it serves to disarm us in the face of grave threats to our children. It is absolutely necessary that we engage in what Max Weber called a politics of responsibility. He warned us back in 1919 that if one chases after the ultimate good in a war of beliefs following a pure ethic of absolute ends, then the goals may be damaged and discredited for generations because responsibility for consequences is lacking. We have to take responsibility for the likely consequences of inaction and respond with a speed and vigor proportionate to the threat. This administration has gutted the Department of Education, gutted the Office for Federal Student Aid, gutted the Office for Civil Rights. They have threatened to withhold federal support for low-income children and military families and special education and universal free meals if we do not eliminate ethnic studies or critical race theory or gender ideology or whatever the pretext of the day is. Federal troops and paramilitary forces have occupied the District of Columbia. They violated Posse Comitatus and invaded Los Angeles last month. By the end of the month, they may well be prowling the streets of Chicago, looking for brown folk to drag from their vehicles and disappear. By the end of the year, they may well be here in San Diego or Chula Vista or Oceanside. Andras Shayo, the legal scholar and former judge at the European Court of Human Rights, has noted the tendency of illiberal democracies to rule by cheating. As this administration sinks deeper and deeper into authoritarianism, we will see more and more ruling by cheating. They will attempt to use our principledness, our ethicalness against us. They will cheat shamelessly and then cry foul when we respond. Ask Charlie Munger how he feels about gerrymandering in Texas. You can bet your bottom dollar he's not running $10 million of ads out there condemning it. Of course not, because neither he nor Donald Trump care about gerrymandering per se, or about the principles of fairness, equality, transparency. These are not people of principle. These are white power people. These are not people that we can trust with our democracy. So long as a democracy serves white power, they will be for democracy. As soon as democracy serves all people, all families, all children, regardless of race, religion, or creed, they will turn on democracy. If cheating serves white power, they will cheat, and far more eventually. Let us be clear. If we could wave a wand and make all states adopt independent, nonpartisan redistricting commissions, we would. We would do it today immediately. But in the absence of such a wand, and in the absence of genuine commitment to fairness and equality from this administration and its accomplices, we will not let them exploit our high-mindedness to cheat our children of their future. Proposition 50 gives California a stronger hand to push back against these attacks and to fight for the dignity and well-being of our children. This resolution is about ensuring that our students are not abandoned. With that, I'd like to introduce Isel Martinez from our CSEA paraeducators to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isel.
Good morning, everyone. I'm a proud leader and member of California School Employees Association, Chapter 759. CSEA is standing and in defense of public education. So here today, I am to express our strong support with Proposition 50. Because as a frontline worker in our schools, classified employees know better than anyone how devastating underfunding can be for students. From the front office to the cafeteria, to the bus stop, to the health office, to even the supports for special education. Our CSEA members are there every single day, making sure students are safe, fed, healthy, and ready to learn. But our ability to serve is being stretched thin to the breaking point. The federal government has failed to meet the obligations again and again. Programs like Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, and Impact Aid have been underfunded by this administration, leaving schools without resources needed to be fulfilled for students' supports with disability and or if they are militarily connected families. I want to thank Richard and Cody Petterson for bringing up this resolution to support Prop 50 to San Diego Unified School Board this Tuesday. Prop 50 is so important in the defense of public education, and we need to make sure Congress has leaders that will protect funding for school-based medical care, nutrition programs, and other very essential needs for our students. Thank you. And now I will bring up Greg Robinson.
Hi, I'm Greg Robinson, and I'm president of the County Board of Education. I have to disclose at this point, we haven't taken up this initiative yet, so I'm speaking solely for myself, but we will be taking it up, I promise, in the future. The county serves the most vulnerable children in our community. We serve children who are foster youth, homeless, children who are hearing impaired, vision impaired, and over 95% of our children are low income. And that's why this initiative is so important to serve and protect these vulnerable children. The county provides services throughout our county, those districts that don't have the resources to help these kinds of very vulnerable children. But that kind of help is being attacked by these funding cuts. Today, I'm speaking in strong support of Proposition 50 because the stakes for our schools, for our students, and most importantly, for our most vulnerable children are under attack, and we need to respond. Just weeks before the start of this school year, the federal administration canceled hundreds of millions of dollars in critical education grants, including funds specifically awarded to many of our districts. These are money, let me just give you one practical example of what these cuts mean. The county also serves the children of migrant workers. These are people who work from farm to farm, from area to area. Over 3,000 of those children, and just this program administered by the county alone, will be decimated by these kinds of cuts. We provide services, as I said, throughout the county for workforce education and so many other areas, once again, protecting the most vulnerable among us. These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. They're investments. More important, they're commitment to our children and the most vulnerable among them. It is even more alarming. The administration also has frozen $6 billion in already appropriate educational funding. That's creating chaos and destabilizing school budgets throughout California and San Diego County, that the county will have to respond with aid to help them out. Where is that money going to come from for us to help compensate these school districts that are under attack? Richard? Cody? Richard? Wow. I mean, thank you. Thank you for the bravery. Thank you for the commitment to our students and these vulnerable kids among us, for a resolution to support Proposition 50 and bring it to your Board of Education to vote on. Prop 50 is about ensuring our representation in Congress delivers the stability and, yes, the equity and resilience needed to support our students. It's a promise. We won't let political games in Washington rob, punish, and disadvantage so many of our vulnerable children. And now I want to turn this over to Gail Walker from the Rainbow Coalition of Children.
Thank you. My name is Gail Walker, and I'm the founder of Children of the Rainbow Early Child Care Centers. We operate 4 locations in this city, and we focus our child care services on students and families who come from historically underserved communities. That's why I'm speaking from my heart today in a strong, unwavering support for Proposition 50. I want to extend my appreciation to Richard and Cody for bringing the Proposition 50 resolution to the board for a vote on Tuesday. I spent my entire career working with children and their families, so I know firsthand what happens when the kids don't get the support they need. The federal administration in Washington, D.C. has been on a mission to dismantle our education system, erode support services and systems that provide critical resources like Medi-Cal and CalFresh. Proposition 50 will ensure we keep representation in Congress that supports school-age children. Otherwise, school-age children will not get the medical care and the nutritious food. Basic things no child should ever go without. I've seen children come to school with empty stomachs, struggling to focus, falling behind, not because they aren't capable, but because their basic needs aren't being met. I've seen kids suffer through untreated asthma, undiagnosed anxiety, and simple health issues that spiral only because their families didn't have access to the right supports. Proposition 50 will help ensure that does not happen. Thank you. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Kyle Winkler.
Thank you, Gail. Good morning. I'm Kyle Weinberg, president of the San Diego Education Association. I'm a middle school teacher, and I'm proudly organizing alongside over 6,500 union educators in San Diego Unified School District. We've already seen too many attacks by this federal administration on critical funding for special education, meals for our hungry students, and support for recruiting and retaining highly qualified, diverse educators in this district. In just 229 days, we've seen the federal administration freeze more than $6 billion in previously appropriated education funding, including over $13 million for San Diego Unified, just weeks before the start of the school year, destabilizing school budgets and jeopardizing essential programs. They've cut healthcare for millions of our students and our families, attempted to dismantle the Department of Education, and passed a new voucher program designed to destroy public education entirely. And we've seen unprecedented attacks on our immigrant communities and our LGBTQ+ students and families. This unprecedented power grab by Texas to impose redistricting maps on voters is a direct and urgent attack on our democracy. And if it goes unchecked, we will only see more drastic cuts to public education and healthcare and a further erosion of basic civil and human rights in our communities. Recently, 9 members of Congress in California threw our students under the bus and passed a federal budget that includes further cuts to education while providing massive funding increases to immigration enforcement. This is all part of a growing pattern of diverting resources away from our schools to line the pockets of billionaires while terrifying our immigrant school communities. Last month, near Linda Vista Elementary, A parent was kidnapped by masked immigration agents while waiting to pick up their child from school. This will be an ongoing reality for our school communities with the current Congress and federal administration. So it is now more important than ever to come together to maintain our united front. Given these extreme threats, our statewide union, California Teachers Association, alongside district leadership and labor and community allies, is fighting back, and we support Prop 50. As educators, we know that what happens beyond our classrooms and our school doors impacts our students. And as union educators, we know that we have the power to come together to defend our schools and our communities. So now is the time for all of us to stand up together against Trump's election rigging. Let's pass Prop 50.